y'all doing today? I wanted to talk about what the title says, of course, and what I've been studying for a while now, and people have been saying this since the 90s, but as you can clearly see on the date, clearly says right here 2008 when this was actually posted. Now, yes, we are multi-dimensional beings, and yes, time travel is possible. Okay? Now, I'm going to let you watch this video first, and then I'm going to get into all that. But first, let's just watch the video, okay?
Well, we think maybe they're invisible. By then, time travelers will have invisibility. In fact, we may have it in a few decades. In which case, maybe they're all around us, and we don't even know. Now, Einstein said that time is like a river, and we're swept up by the meandering of this old man river. It speeds up, it slows down, and we measure that every day with our GPS systems. Einstein was right. We measure it every day. However, the new wrinkle that's causing shock waves to reverberate through the community is the river of time can have whirlpools. The river of time may fork into two rivers, in which case time travel is now something that we have to take seriously. Whirlpools and forking in the river of time. This means that we can build a time machine, perhaps, to wrap time into a pretzel, go backwards in time, and meet your teenage mother before you're born.
Are you talking about Terminator?
No, I'm talking about Back to the Future.
Oh, okay.
Now, if she falls in love with you, you're in deep doo-doo.
Yeah, I was wondering, so that is possible, huh?
It is theoretically possible. Now, I don't say that any inventor tomorrow is going to invent a machine in their basement. The energy necessary to bend time into a pretzel would require the energy of a star.
Boom, okay, let's stop right there. Now, I love how he said that. And I gotta say, he kind of contradicted himself, for the simple fact is, because he said before in another video, he said that if you go back in time, you will not, he actually says it in this video. He says that if you go back in time, you will not affect your timeline, you'll be affecting someone else's timeline. But we'll get into that later. Now, you know how we said you need a star, okay? Let me finish this.
Well, isn't there a risk that, the same risk that they talk about in Back to the Future and even in Terminator and all these movies?
Okay, no, he didn't. He already said it. You're not going to create this thing in your basement, right? Okay. Well, let's see here. You need a star. You need the power of a star in order to generate enough power so we can time travel. Okay. Now let's look at this. Bang. Solar sun luminescence. Okay. Solar luminescence. Okay. 1 second. Just hear what this guy has to say, and then you're gonna see that time travel is possible. Okay. I'll get into the multi-dimensional thing when we go back to the other video, and I'll get into you with that. But let's start with this first, okay?
The first time I saw sonoluminescence was in a darkened room. I was transfixed to look at this spherical flask of fluid, and you look into the center, and in the center see a glowing blue-purple light, which could be seen with the unaided eye. It looked like a star in the heavens.
Seth Putterman called it the star in a jar, a tiny spot of bright light contained in a flask of liquid. This star in a jar is made when a sound wave is passed through a small bubble inside a flask of liquid, and this sound wave makes the bubble do something remarkable. First it expands, then it collapses, and this collapse happens so violently that vapor molecules trapped inside the bubble slam together and heat up so much that the bubble gives off an incredible burst of heat and light, several thousand times a second, giving the appearance of a star. What made the phenomenon so exciting was the temperature of this star in a jar. On its surface alone, the light burns at tens of thousands of degrees. And Seth Butterman now contemplated a tantalizing possibility. Could the core of the collapsing bubble be even hotter? Hot enough for fusion?
One of the mysteries of sonoluminescence is to determine exactly how hot the interior of the bubble gets. In the sun, the interior can be millions of degrees, hot enough to cause fusion. And the thought crossed my mind that perhaps inside the collapsing bubble, the interior of the bubble might also get hot enough to cause fusion.
If so, this would be something truly amazing. By simply bombarding tiny bubbles with sound waves, temperatures of over 10 million degrees would be created.
Did you hear what she said? 10 million degrees. From the very, just from vibration and sound. Now, you guys can get that video. Don't worry, you can clearly see it. You can type it in after you watch mine. Now let's go back to what this guy says, okay? After you just watch this video, okay? Because we already know the government's doing everything. Now let's see real quick, okay? Okay. Let's see what he says.
Paradox, which is, isn't there a risk that going back permanently alters the timeline and, as you said, creates another fork?
Well, like I said, if you go backwards in time and meet your teenage mother before you're born, and she falls in love with you, you're in deep doo-doo. Because how can you be born if your teenage mother just fell in love with you? Well, the resolution to all these paradoxes is that the river of time can fork into two rivers. You have jump stream. You've gone from one timeline to another timeline, and that woman who just fell in love with you looks like your mother, talks like your mother, is genetically equivalent to your mother, but is not your mother.
All right, you heard what he just said, folks. You heard what he just said. Let's continue on. Okay?
Your mother gave birth to you. Your mother fell in love with your father, let's hope. This woman in front of you is your mother in a parallel universe.
How do you, is there a way to, so what you're implying is that Marty got stuck in a parallel universe. So how do we know he ever came back to the real, 1985?
Well, we don't know for sure. There's a TV program called Sliders, where people slide between universes, and they always try to come back to the original timeline, right? Yeah. Well, if you watch the first show, a young boy reads a book and falls asleep, and then the program starts. That book, by the way, is my book, Hyperspace. My book, Hyperspace, spawned a TV series called Sliders.
I love that show. I remember it very well. Jerry O'Connell.
So, anyway, the point is that if you jump stream from one timeline to another, you've saved Abraham Lincoln from being assassinated, but it's not your Abraham Lincoln. History was meant to be in your universe. You cannot change your own past. You change somebody else's past. So that's how we resolve all time travel paradoxes. There are no paradoxes if you believe in a quantum theory of time. But you know that if you have a radio in your living room, and it's you have all frequencies in your living room, BBC, Radio Moscow, ABC. Okay,
now before he gets into that, in my last video, when I was talking about us being multi-dimensional and tuning into different frequencies, okay? Because we're not tuning on different frequencies. We only reside on the five senses, okay? You guys know what that is, your five senses. If you don't know what your five senses are, then, okay, this video is way ahead of you right now. You got to go check that out first. When you go on a different frequency, that's a higher sense. Do you see what I'm saying? Now, most of you don't. Now, I'm not going to even say most of you. Let me take that back. Well, actually, I gotta say because of the public. But you're here, so I can't. I'm not saying you, but in general, most people don't care because they're worrying about frivolous stuff like what's on TV, like Jerry Springer, Maury, Ricky Lake, and clothes like Jordans and Adidas and all that stuff that the government or the powers to be, because it's not even your government. Your government's being run by a group of people named the Jesuit Order. I just skipped who's okay, because listen, you got the Trilateral Commission, you got the Council of Foreign Relations, you got the Bilderberg Group. These people report to the Vatican. The Vatican reports to the Jesuit Order. You see what I'm saying? Now I'm getting off topic, but if you guys want to know more about that, I say you look up the 3 city-states, which is the Vatican, which deals with religion, London, which deals with the finance, and Washington, D.C., which deals with the military. So when people think that, and that's another thing, when people think that there's terrorists over here and Russia's trying to hate on us over here and China's, no. These people are running the planet in such a way that you would think that everyone's against each other, but these world leaders, and when I say world leaders, I'm talking about world leaders. All of them are getting together, talking how to manipulate you, and that's the public. Now, you guys are probably asking yourself, damn, if they want to manipulate us all for so much, and they tell us that we're basically nothing in so many words, then why are they trying to control us? I'm going to do a whole nother video on that, okay? On why they want to control you. Because you actually, they need you. That's it. Because they're getting controlled, and most people are going to be like, Dag, that's a bombshell. The Jesuit Order is getting controlled by aliens. Okay? Look up the Archons. That's ultimately what's happening here. Okay? I'm going to just do a whole nother video on that, but I just wanted to talk about how we're vibrating at a certain frequency right now. When you get to certain frequencies, you vibrate at a faster rate, and you can literally disappear, and people won't see you. That's what a ghost is. So technically, death does not exist. That's why I say people, don't be afraid of it. It's just a transition. Energy cannot die. It just moves into another state of being. Okay? Let's go on and see what he says.
But your radio is tuned to one frequency. You're decoherent from all the other frequencies. You're only coherent with one frequency.
Right.
We now believe that the universe is vibrating, and that there are vibrations of different universes right in this room. There are the universes of dinosaurs, because the comet didn't hit 65 million years ago. They're the wave function of aliens from outer space, looking at the rubble of an Earth that already was destroyed, all in your living room, except we have decohered from them. We're no longer in tune with them. We don't.
All right, you see what I'm saying, folks? Did you hear what he said? And this was 2008. Star in a Jar was also in 2008. So let me get this straight here. We're still worrying about bullshit politics, things that don't even matter whatsoever, when we can be jumping to different dimensions? And let me tell you this, folks. Okay? Because like I said, watch my last video of the pineal gland pill, because you don't need no machines to jump from dimension to dimension. We can do everything a machine can do, we can do better. Okay? Superhuman strength, flying, manipulation of matter, which is telekinesis, and flying, because what's flying is just you demagnetizing from the planet. Okay? And if you don't think that the planet's magnetized, again, you gotta go do your research. Okay? Laser, heat vision, everything you see in X-Men, Spider-Man, Superman, Dragon Ball Z, Star Wars, we did all that on a much grander scale. Now, here is the drop on everybody right here, right now. We come from another dimension. That's what humans are. But when we came here, I gotta do a whole nother video on the history on why, but I'm just gonna, sum it up for you. Something happened here what had to do with aliens or multi-dimensional beings. You see, everything we're going through now is because of something that happened in the other dimension. Okay? My personal view is this is all just an experiment that we are conducting, because we come from the fifth dimension. We're not, and we just came back here to, do what we have to do. And whatever that is, and that's why people are born and everything. So, when someone says, oh, that evolution's real and religion's real, they're both wrong and they're both right. For the simple fact is you can't go, no, they're both wrong because, sorry I said they're both right, I'm sorry about that. They're both wrong because they're just looking at it at one standpoint. You got to look at it at both. You see what I'm saying? We came back here to experience what it is to be human. That's really basically just to sum it up. You know what I'm saying? But we can, okay, but now that you know that you are actually light beings in the physical, then we can return to that God state, that godlike state being. And the only way to do that is, again, is to activate the full aspects of the mind. I get into that again. I mentioned my video like 3 times. Go back and watch my video, the pineal gland and the full activation in the pill, okay? And, okay, because, like I said, in the previous video I told you, I just said it, pineal gland pill, it talks about how the memories within our genes. So if you want to know what really happened, all you have to do is just go back within yourself. That's it. There's no, like, you have to go into some quest and go into the center of the earth and fight a dragon, whatever. It's already within you. You know what I'm saying? Now let's see what he says, because like I said, you got to tune into these frequencies. Everything around you right now is happening simultaneously, and that's why scientists will tell you time does not exist. The brain, that's what the brain's there for, so we won't be, all over the place. It's kind of just like, again, that's for a whole nother video. I can talk about that for hours, but I just wanted to get into you that time travel is real, whether you're using machine or your soul, which is thyself, okay? And anything's possible, okay?